very, very bad clickbaity content algorithm does all the hard work. Refuse around 70% of inbound demand. Part growth regions would be the Middle East. Minimum investments of anywhere like £1 million for their product. If I'm a high net worth investor, I am going to be reading content that is around that, because that actually affects obviously there is a threat.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of Franc Talking. Great to have you here. I'm delighted to be joined by Anand Sindig, who is of Dinomi, a native advertising platform within the fintech space. Anand, it's fantastic to have you on. I've known you for many years, and I'd love you just to give a bit of an intro to yourself and also to the company.
Yes, of course, and thanks for the intro, Andy. Great to have talk with you. So I am the global head of partnerships at Dinomi. At Dinomi, we are a native content distribution platform. We've been around for over 22 years now, so a long time.
Yeah.
Very well established, and we specialize within the financial services, business, technology, and luxury lifestyle verticals. So we specialize within the global C-suite and the premium audience segment.
Before we begin, I just want to make sure it's clear this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial products. The information provided is general in nature and does not take into account your individual objectives, financial situation, or needs. How do you define native advertising, and how has it evolved over the last couple of years?
So native ads as a format, it's a type of paid media where the ads basically match the feel, the form, the function around it. So it blends into the publisher environment. So we look like part of the site itself, but it's obviously stated as sponsored content. So for a user experience, it's much more natural for them because it looks like content and it looks like article content within the publisher site. So that's what we call as a native product.
What type of formats have you been expanding with over the last couple of years? So you've got obviously a traditional display. I know when we've been talking that you now look at podcasts, obviously the growth in terms of that side. What type of ad units can you kind of get with Dinomi?
So we pretty much obviously do the IAB standard units, units, but also we have podcast distribution units, and we also have bespoke video units, but we're also delving into tailor-made smart content hub units, which is basically brand new units where you can actually mix messages. You can actually have 100% share of voice. You'll be able to run video, podcast, as well as native content to make sure that the highest engaging content is always resonating towards the audience when they're engaging.
So I've always been really amazed by the quality of the publishers that you work with. It's some of the top brands, publishing brands within finance around the world, right? How do you go about brokering those type of deals, and how do you get those publishers on board? Because like I said, it's a very impressive client list that you work with.
I think the reason why is when we set up as a business, we focused within premium environments. So all our publishers and all the demographics that we specialize in is in the premium environment. Some of the, the first publishers that we brought on was Reuters, The Times, Wall Street Journal, BBC Worldwide, Forbes, Fortune, etc. We've always been specialized within those verticals and those publisher environments. And the reason why they actually want to partner with us is we have a very, very strict rule in regards to the demand partners that we bring in. Yeah. So we do not run any, clickbaity clientele or content. It's always quality. A lot of our clients are within the financial services environment, so they have very strict compliance to see where they're actually being shown in the ads. So if you look at our demand partners, you see the usual JP Morgans of the world, the Invescos of the world, Porsche, very, very premium, advertisers. And these advertisers are actually a really good benefit for the publishers because we have a strict control in regards to the quality of advertisers and content that's been shown with these publishers. And that's how we've expanded. Publishers are very, very hesitant to have sub-quality content and partners within it. And we've always provided them the best advertisers and content within that. So that's why with, word of mouth and references, etc., we've always been able to, win good partnership deals with publishers as well as demand partners.
You will work more closely with the advertisers, but you do need to have obviously that impressive publisher base that's going to fuel that. So how is your pitch to some brands that you work with within the fintech space? Like how do you go about obviously outreaching to them and kind of converting some of those leads?
So when it comes to demand partners, what we do is we talk about context, the way we target specific audiences, publishers, etc. We make sure that we also have a lot of data in regards to competitor analysis, and also a lot of our campaigns are performance led. So that's a very good hook for clients to actually engage with us because a lot of our campaigns are performance led. We make sure that the client is highlighted within the brand safe environments that we specify. So it's a closed network when we work within it. So it's very different to the open programmatic ecosystem. Clients are able to control the narrative, control the environments that they're shown in. And because of the performance angle, they're able to see very, very good return on investments using that.
And with advertisers, how's the model set up? Is it a CPC, CPM? How do you kind of set that up with your clients?
So it completely depends on the client's KPIs. That's what we focus on. So for example, if it's, traffic generation, conversion-based campaigns and A/B testing, requirements, native campaigns are normally charged on a cost per click basis. So it's a great way for clients to A/B test call to actions, images, landing pages, and also for conversion-based campaigns. So what we're able to do is highlight their content in a contextual environment and get the relevant user traffic to the client site. And we're also able to basically track the user engagement on the site itself using server to server and UTMs. And we're able to optimize campaigns towards their KPIs, whether it's conversion-based campaigns or whether it's traffic generation. Alternatively, we've got clients who are looking for branding. So when it comes to branding, we run viewable CPM video campaigns. We also run high impact display campaigns and canvas units. And these are all maximized by using our audience targeting capabilities, where we've built a global cohort of audiences, and clients are able to choose the cohort of audience that they'd like to target, and our algorithm does that for them.
Perfect. And that's your own data that you've built up over?
Yes, that is our own data. It's our own DMP. So, as I mentioned, we've been established for over 22 years. And our partnerships with the publishers are actually code on page. So we have hard-coded, content units on these sites. So we're able to look at context, we're able to look at competitor analysis, thematic data, and build these audiences and that we store in our DMP.
And how important now in the new world is first-party data over relying on the big tech companies?
I mean, it is very, very important nowadays, especially with the compliance and the data issues that clients have and the added cost when you want to target outside of your ecosystem. So with us, we're able to analyze the data. We're able to make sure that we maximize the reach that the client requires, and we're able to do that on a day-to-day basis.
What if you had a client that came to you? I totally understand in terms of KPIs and objectives, but say one of them was in the banking sector and they wanted to grow sign-ups through their new native app. What kind of units would you recommend, ad units would you recommend they use? What would be the angle? Like what kind of works well for that type of client?
So if you're looking for app campaigns, we are able to access iOS devices, and we're able to do this because we are an approved partner of Apple. So we're able to run campaigns in our individual publishers' Apple news feeds. So we're able to run app campaigns through that. We're able to allocate individual budgets towards each publisher, which makes it much more easier for us to optimize towards conversions and then move budgets according to the performance of the publisher. So we look at performance per publisher to make sure that the client gets the returns that they're looking for.
How important in your, like, again, from the market and advertising side, is the creative? We're now in a world of AI-led kind of content that you see on LinkedIn and things like this. And how important is it to get the creative right for working with native?
I mean, it is very, very important. But with native, the good thing about it is you're able to A/B test different call to actions, different images, and a lot of clients use AI and machine learning to provide us with the relevant creatives. We're also able to use those tools with AI and machine learning, which is already incorporated into our algorithm, to provide different types of options to A/B test. And the algorithm does all the hard work for us. So it pushes all the content out there, and it will push the best performing variant of that content that's converting. So if there's high engagement with that content, we know it's resonating with the audience, and that's what it's pushed for. So you get a lot of data, performance data regarding that, and we're able to report back into the client with those testing results.
And so what type of financial service brands benefit the most from native advertising in your time that you've worked there?
So we can actually work with all vertical of financial services clients because of the demographic that we have within the network. So we help a lot of the asset management clients target institutional investors, professional investors and advisors, family offices. We're also able to target high net worth end investors as well with ISA content, investment trust content. But we also help premium credit card companies and premium banks for signups of accounts. I would say because we're so specialized within these verticals, we're pretty much helping the whole scope of the financial industry target their relevant audiences. And this is on the premium side. So we have clients such as banks who are looking at minimum investments of anywhere like £1 million for their product, all the way to ETF and ESG and sustainability focused fund investors. We're able to do that. So we can also target thematic, but also job-based.
What would you say are the key differentiators that Dynami offers versus some of your kind of competitors?
So I think the key difference, and we've always worked on this and made sure that we were different in regards to the market, is we've always used contextual targeting. So non-cookie based targeting for our network, and also with the premium nature of our network. So we've always specialized within the financial services and the global C-suite audience pedigree of demographics. And that is one of the key differences. Also, we're very, very strict on quality control. Just to give you an idea, we actually refuse around 70% of inbound demand partners because they're just not in the same fit as the demographic and the fit of the publishers. And similarly with the publishers as well, we do have a lot of inbound publisher partnership requests, but we actually do refuse them because it is not the right demographic and it's not the right quality. So we have very, very strict controls when it comes to the quality of partners that we work with. And that is the key difference.
What do you think is the biggest shift in strategy since you joined? So again, like what have we? I'm just thinking from my side, like you would have had obviously Google being a huge driver of traffic to some of these publishers. We should also chat in terms of the impact of AI and also traffic from Google with AIOs, AI overviews to these publishers, which we're starting to see a trend of diminishing traffic through. So be good to get your thoughts on that as well. but like you've had voice, you've had all of these, you've got obviously with the rise of perplexity, ChatGPT, like there's all of these kind of shifts. But what have you kind of noticed in your 10 years since?
So I think in the last 10 years, we have seen the rise of obviously AI, but also the programmatic ecosystem growing. And what we've also been seeing is the rise of costs for clients running campaigns versus the return on investment. So with us, what we've been trying to do is adapt to the marketplace. We're able to not only where we started with just content distribution, now we're able to provide clients with the spectrum of products that we've got, where they're able to run performance campaigns, but also branding campaigns. And we're looking at performance data to amplify branding campaigns and etc. So within the marketplace, we are seeing an evolution in regards to the programmatic ecosystem and AI integration. So in regards to strategy and focus for us, what we've been seeing is a lot of clients and a lot of publishers wanting and having an appetite of us actually helping them outside of the financial services vertical. And we have a very, premium audience. So we've now started the luxury lifestyle vertical. We've also started working with a lot of commodity and energy clients because of the C-suite audience segment that we work with. We're also working with a lot of technology clients, management consultancy clients, and we've seen a huge growth within digital asset audiences as well. So they're now open to working with us within those demographics and those verticals because of the audience that we have. And that's something that we're currently growing rapidly globally.
With Native, like who are your main clients, your main stakeholders that you work with? Is it CMOs? Is it performance directors? Like who do you work with most?
A lot of it are CMOs, performance, but then a lot of clients have their own content team leaders. So we work with pretty much all of them. We work with the CMOs for the planning and obviously using our performance data. They're analyzing that and using that to actually amplify branding campaigns. But also with content clients, they're using us as an in-house content distribution system where they're able to run real-time content distribution strategies using our performance data.
In terms of how does Native fit into the marketing mix as well? So like when you're working with like more of the strategic planning and they've got Google paid search that they're running, they're doing SEO, they're doing ASO, ASA, like how does Native fit into that? And like, is it a one or the other, or should they complement each other? Like how does it work?
I mean, it is a you can complement Native within all those environments. But when we do speak to a lot of clients and we do work with clients and agency partners alike, we are looking at how we can actually support guaranteed results for clients. So when it comes to, for example, I will give you an example of a client who wanted to launch a ETF product in the DAC region. So instead of actually launching the campaign, launching the fund, what they did was they used us to actually measure the interest level of investors within those environments. So we actually distributed written content about a specific product, and it was an ESG ETF, just to see what the interest level of the investor in those regions were. Once they saw the performance data, that's when they used our data to launch the product as an entity, and they saw
really good as well that you can get some research quickly.
Exactly. So you can actually test products for one thing. You can also test different types of vertical performances, but also specific regional performances as well. So we actually did a campaign for a podcast client, and we had a campaign that was targeted to specific regions. So in the US, in the East Coast and West Coast, we delivered ESG and sustainability podcasts. Whereas when it came to states such as Texas, Ohio, etc., we did commodities, and we saw huge performance there. So it basically helps the client tailor their marketing proposition according to the regions that they're looking at targeting as well. And this can be done in a much more cost-effective way using native. So there's quite a lot of different avenues for clients to use native for their team members' KPIs.
Does Dynami or any other native like advertiser, with someone like the Times, and you've got like a standard display unit, do you get exclusivity over that particular unit? And how, like, what are the benefits of obviously going with a company like Dynami rather than just looking at more of a traditional programmatic setup?
So with us, obviously, it's the controlled environment. It depends on the publishers. We do have agreements with key publishers where we have these controlled environments with display units. But with the rise of our bespoke display units that we've built and we're running, we have exclusive access to those publishers and we're able to run them around that. But also using our own DMP data and our custom cohorts, we're able to analyze what's on the page, but also analyze the demographic of each publisher and make sure that those content pieces and those campaigns are run within that. But what it also does is all our campaigns and all our publishers are around the brand safe environments, really. So it really does reduce the bid. As I mentioned, we use context within that, but with our new units that we've come up with, such as the Smart Content Hub unit, what that does is we're able to mix different media messages within these high impact units, where we're able to run podcasts as well as video and native content for a client, where they have 100% share of voice within those units, and that's very exclusive to us. But the smart thing about it is it auto optimizes by publisher. So on each publisher, the algorithm will look at which video, which content piece, which podcast has been resonating the most within that publisher, and it'll auto optimize and show the best performing variants of that. So you're hitting the audience with the best performing content within those environments, and that could be different from the Wall Street Journal to Reuters, depending on how each publisher is performing. So that's something that's very unique to us.
Where you see any threats to the native advertising category, touched upon, obviously a lot of these publishers will have Google as a top driver of traffic from top stories, from Google Discover. And with the rollout of AIOs, as I mentioned earlier, you are starting to see a dip in traffic to publishers that were once, obviously, with the 10 blue links, the old school SERP that were ranking very well. News can be very different because it's very real time. You've got the module that appears when there's a Trump tariffs or something like that will appear. So perhaps right now news publishers are safer. How much threat is the changing ecosystem with AI that could impact traffic to these publishers? And are there any other kind of threats that you've kind of seen you're trying to work with your partners on?
Yes, I mean, obviously it is getting more and more difficult for our premium publishers to monetize their inventory and actually increase traffic to their existing ecosystem. But this is where we help our publishers as well, where if we're able to recirculate their high-end content within their environments, we're keeping the users within the publisher ecosystem. But also publishers are actually now working with us for us to actually generate more traffic to their site. So they are using native as a stronghold to increase traffic within that. But also there is the content studios that they use and they produce content for key clients. We're able to amplify that and increase revenue for the publishers by funneling the relevant traffic to their hosted content pieces. But obviously there is a threat because users are now migrating into individual podcasts, social media, etc. But I think what people will always look at is quality content, and quality content is always produced by quality journalism within these quality publishers. It is an uphill struggle, but I do see that there will be growth, and there will be growth because there is going to be a fatigue at some point with subpar quality of content out there. And that is a lot. So within social media, you do see that, very, very bad clickbaity content. But when you look at quality advertisers, they don't want to be shown around those, especially within the premium segment of it. So I think what will happen is we will see a resurgence of premium content and a resurgence of premium publishers. But it is an uphill struggle, and helping the publishers by making sure that we get the relevant high quality demand that's out there to support them.
And I guess with especially the first half of 2025, the volatility based upon global events, mainly Trump, readers wanting to find a truthful account of what's happening and what's going on, as opposed to something that's generated via AI, right? So yes, you do build up these writers that they have voice and opinion, and this is what people want to go and read about and to watch. Obviously, video being a key driver as well. I definitely agree with you that there is a need for that type of content, but it does make your work when the global events are kicking off. There's obviously more demand that you can then drive for clients.
Yes, I mean we do see that on a daily basis. So, for example, the financial thought leadership content that's actually been shared from clients and the insights, they're incredible insights, and these are produced by incredible in-house analysts that AI can't really replicate. And at the heart of it, that's exactly what and precisely what readers and investors actually want to read about. Non-AI generated content that's resonating, that's actually got really good background research within it. And we do see that. We do see thought leadership content doing much, much better than the usual blog content that's being distributed on a day-to-day basis.
So we talked about Trump driving the news agenda. We have seen over the last 12 months the rise of Bitcoin. What do you see are the biggest growth opportunities in financial media? I presume those two will be part of that, but over the next 2 to 3 years.
So I think the growth opportunities for financial services brands, especially now with how the market conditions are, we will see a shift in regards to the thinking of the marketing teams within those institutionals. And the reason why is if the markets are down, the first thing that gets cut is marketing budgets. So what they're going to look at is more performance-led, campaigns rather than CTR-based campaigns, which is prevalent within the environment. What they're also going to look at is what's actually happening on the page, the fund inflows of the campaigns, what it's generating as a return. And this will resonate really well for native and performance campaigns. But also in regards to the growth is much more targeting capabilities of a specific product when you're targeting specific audiences. That is something that we're definitely going to be looking at as a growth market within at least the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that's where the financial services media is going to grow. It's going to be much more targeted. It's going to be looking at much more return on investments, and it's going to look at data-led campaigns.
You do a lot of work in the Middle East. That's obviously a huge focus for you. Where else globally are you seeing those opportunities, like LATAM? Where would you say are the big kind of growth regions?
I mean, I think the biggest growth regions would be the Middle East, as you said, the GCC region, also Asia. And what we do see, there is a difference between Asia, the GCC, and the West, so the UK, the US, etc. We do see, these new markets are much more adaptable. They're much more open to testing different types of marketing formats, mixes, platforms, channels. And we do see a little bit of a stagnation when it comes to innovation and testing in the UK, in the US, because a huge emphasis is put on the buying mechanism rather than the performance mechanism. So they'd
Yeah.
rather sacrifice performance for the ease of transactions of media than, looking at the return on investment. But in Asia, they are very, very dynamic. They're able to look at what's performing the best, what's the best partner to work with, and they're much more easier to look at testing new formats. And I think we're going to see a surge within the GCC region for sure, but also within Asia and APAC.
The more agile approach that you're seeing, do you think that's down to compliance issues as well?
I think within the compliance side, yes, it is a little bit more lenient in the GCC and APAC regions, but also within brand safety as well. And I'm talking about as an overall strategy. A lot of the brand safety rules that we have in the US, in the UK, it's a little bit inefficient, dependent on the clients and dependent on the KPIs, but it is quite inefficient because what's happening is it's killing scale, but it's also increasing the cost exponentially for actually targeting those audiences. And I think a little bit of common sense should be brought back into this because of the demographic that we're targeting. They are reading real news, and real news entails a little bit of negativity when it comes to, let's say, tariffs, etc. If I'm a high net worth investor, I am going to be reading content that is around that, because that actually affects the investment that you're going to be doing in the regions that you're going to be investing in. So if you negate that audience, then you're losing out as a client. But also, when it comes to devices and data as well. So, for example, a lot of the premium investor audience actually engage with content on iOS devices. And iOS is a closed ecosystem when it comes to data. But when it comes to performance and when it comes to the demographic, it does very, very well. With the existing buying mechanism, that's completely negated. Firefox is negated. So realistically, what everyone's looking to do is scale within one specific section, and that is basically around the Google ecosystem. And negating at least 40% of the audience, 40 to 50% of the audience. And I think that's where you are going to see a different way of thinking. And I think that is a region and a vertical that clients are actually going to look into.
If we've got CMOs watching this now and they've never dabbled in any sort of native, that might be more brand they've focused on, or your Google focused performance, or even SEO and content, what 3 things should they start to do to start to think about native, and what will be the benefits that they'll get from it?
So I think the first point would be creating the relevant content, making sure it is high quality, it is engaging. And the second one is to not presume what's going to work and what's not. Let the audience dictate that. So A/B testing is a great option. Also making sure that you have more than 2 or 3 variants of the campaign that you're looking at running. And also having a clear indication of what KPIs are you actually looking at hitting. And if it's a lead generation capture campaign, having a realistic acquisition cost and making sure that this is then shared with the partners that you're currently working with, but also with any future native partners that you're going to run with, is making sure that you actually know what the realistic cost per acquisition is, or the cost per lead is, and also having a plan in regards to when a user comes on to reading your content on the site itself, what is the user journey that you'd like them to have, and what are the engagement metrics that you're looking at achieving with this.
I remember you launching a couple of years ago in terms of your video ad unit. What success do you see through that? Both from, I presume you do run performance campaigns as well through the video unit. So yeah, talk to me a bit about the video side and any tips in terms of recommendations for that.
we have a strong call to action within the video. So users are able to watch the whole of the video and then click on a call to action button where we're able to then funnel them to specific landing pages. That could be longer tail video content, could be a lead generation capture form. But what we are able to do is then measure what's happening with the viewability, but also the engagement of the call to action on the player. And with clients server to server tracking, we're able to then look at optimizing each video according to the conversion data point that they're looking to acquire from those campaigns. And our video campaigns are actually on a viewable CPM basis. So it's usually the, per 1,000 views of the IAB standard of over 2 seconds. So it is still on a performance model, but you're also able to A/B test different variants of videos to see which one is converting. So having a strong call to action within the video, we're seeing great results doing that.
How do you see the role of native advertising evolving as cookies depreciate and privacy regulations tighten? And also on the ad fatigue side, are there emerging formats that keep it fresh and effective that clients should be thinking about?
Yes, I mean, with us, we've always, been non-cookie based. So we've always had that in the back of our mind. We always knew that at some point regulation was going to be kicking in. So when we did establish and we built the algorithm, it was on a cookieless based targeting capability. So we built the algorithm using contextual targeting and, dependent on the narrative on the page. So that is something that we're going to see being replicated around the industry for sure. But also when it comes to ad fatigue, it doesn't really affect native too much. And the reason why, it's non-intrusive. It's unlike display. So it's very non-intrusive, but also the user is choosing to engage with the content piece that they want to engage with. So they have a choice. So they're able to adapt, and obviously using the contextual targeting side, users are always going to be shown different content pieces according to what's on the page and also their engagement levels. So I think that really doesn't affect us as an industry. But I think for emerging formats, what we're seeing is a huge surge in regards to podcast. So a lot of clients have been producing high quality podcasts, but they've never really looked at amplifying it or getting users to engage with podcasts until the last year and a half, really. And podcast is one format that is looking at huge growth. A lot of other verticals would be video, for example, and the content hub format is doing well. But also what we're looking at is advertorials as well that's coming up. So we're seeing a lot of clients investing heavily within the advertorial marketing plans. And this is something that we're looking at growing as well. So it helps not only us be the first to market with these kind of products, but it also helps with the fatigue element of consumers and users.
Thank you so much for your time today. We went through so much in the world of native. I think it's a fantastic approach that marketeers should be considering within their marketing mix. Really exciting stuff you guys are doing at Dynomi. I urge anyone to check it out and see obviously the range of publishers and the clients that you work with in the financial space. I look forward to seeing you again soon. But take care and speak soon.
Thank you so much, Andy. Pleasure talking to you.